Blog Talk Radio.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
Welcome, everybody, to Moorish Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka Black. And tonight, we will be dealing with part 2 of where are the descendants of the ancient African Egyptians today. Where are they? I mean, did they just fall off the face of the earth? What about the ancient map? Where are the ancient records being housed? Why is it that this particular people and their contribution to society and their culture and their nationality being hidden, and then we got this falsification of information? What is this thing? We want to deal with this evening, and want to get this information out so that everybody will know where they are. Okay, we're going to be dealing with the following questions. Where can we find the ancient African Egyptians today? What evidence do we have of their location? Are Moors and Egyptians one and the same people? Where did people in America called black come from? What is this business? We want to get into that this evening. And we're going to lay all the cards on the table. Our special guest will be none other than my illustrious brother, Dr. Walter Williams, the author of The Historical Origins of Christianity and the author of The Historical Origins of Islam. If you haven't got these books, you really need to get these books. These are books that you don't just sit down and read. You're going to have to go through that information more than one time so you can connect all the dots and have all the facts. We want to be factual here. We just want to lay all the cards on the table. The phone lines will be open this evening. The number to dial in will be 310-982-4184. That's 310-982-4184. If you got something to say, press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication that you have something to say. And we'll open up the phone lines and hear from you. It's my understanding that Brother Rice will be joining us here this evening on the broadcast. Keep in mind, this is part 2 of where are the descendants of the ancient African Egyptians. And before we get down into the broadcast, I'm going to go over here, and when we come back, we'll be ready to go in. So if you just hold your hat for a moment. Setting up your trust is one of the greatest financial moves you can ever make for yourself and your family. Learn how to do that by visiting newdebtelimination.com. Our secure party and creditor package is the best, complete with everything you need to know and beyond. Don't hesitate to contact me, Tarhaka Black, for more information. 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's newdebtelimination.com. Now it's time to set up your trust. This is for very serious people only.
If you're a serious individual, contact me, 904-303-9061. Visit newdateelimination.com.
Okay, before you rush out to save the world, have you made up your own bed yet? Does being a secured party make you invincible? The answer is no. But what are the benefits of being a secured party? Go to www.newdateelimination.com. That's www.newdateelimination.com. Or call me, Tarhaka or Monel Bay, directly, 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll be a secured party creditor, but the most important part about all of it is knowing what it is and knowing exactly what to do with it. That's extremely important. www.newdateelimination.com. What does Tarhaka Secure Party and Creditor package entails? Private consultation by phone and email, the correct system for paying your property taxes in the private, the documents you will need to conduct business and transactions, public and private, Tarhaka Library, documents for status change in commerce, master study manuals, and trust guides. Free credit repair with all 3 credit bureaus. A business for you in itself. Educational materials on DVD and CD sent directly to your postal box. 1099's education and how to file. How to become a private banker the right way. Asset building, protection, and investing. We also, for all of our clients, host our private conference calls. To access this kind of education and power, go to www.newdateelimination.com or call me directly, 904-303-9061. Also keep in mind, we have the top, best financial advisors there is. Peace.
Okay, before we go into the broadcast, let me also add, for those of you who are having a problem with foreclosure, if you got student loan issues, child support, internal revenue service problems, go to www.newdateelimination.com. You can also just simply click on the Contact Us page, fill that little information out, and I will send my free report straight to your email box, okay? But if you got any of these issues and other issues beyond that, if you're dealing with credit card companies, debt companies, people trying to hassle you and stuff, give me a call. Go to www.newdateelimination.com. All the contact information is there for you, okay? Now, we're going to get into this broadcast, part 2. Where are the descendants where can we find the ancient African Egyptians today? What evidence do we have of their location? Are Moors and Egyptians one and the same people? Where did people in America called black come from? What is this business? What is that? I mean, if you got black people, where's black land? If they're colored, Negro, African, I mean, what is this business? I know Chinese, and I know what China is. I know what Japan, I know what the Japanese are. So what is it when it comes to these people? What's the big deal? I mean, why is there so much distortion involved in that? Okay. Anyway, it appears that my guest has arrived. I'm going to open up the phone line and see if he's ready. Dr. Williams, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here, Brother Tarhaka.
Welcome to our Sunday night broadcast, my brother. And I thank you for coming back in, and there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to assist us in letting us know where are the descendants of the ancient African Egyptians today. And if you want to give the listening audience some pre-information, you're welcome to do so. You have the floor.
Okay, I just want to bring this point out to you and the listening audience. Brother Darrell E. Rice won't be with us this evening.
Okay.
He had an emergency in his family, so he called and canceled his appearance and on our show tonight. So I just want to bring that to your attention. Now, getting back to the question that you asked, about where are the descendants of the African ancient Egyptians. They are walking on earth today, and they're calling themselves blacks, Negroes, and African Americans. That's who they are. There's a book out called God Wills a Negro by Theodore P. Ford that was put out in 1939. He said in this book, God Wills a Negro, that the ancient Egyptians vanished and the Negro appeared. So that's telling you something right there, that we are descendants of the ancient Egyptians, and that, like you mentioned before, the Moors and the ancient Egyptians are one and the same. The Moor, or the name Moor, is only a nickname given to those Africans who are the descendants of the ancient Egyptians living in North Africa, along those North African countries, including Egypt, Morocco, Mauritania, those countries, Algerian, Libyan, Tunisia, and so forth and so on, that's bordering the Mediterranean. They were asked in 1054 to come into white European Spain to bring civilization to the Spanish-speaking people there in that country area. And they, these white European Spaniards, identified these Africans who are descendants of the ancient Egyptians as black or Moors. And the word black in Spanish means Negro. Negro and black is synonymous. So therefore, we also are called by that name, black, Negro, and then Jesse Jackson comes along and added African Americans. Like you said, Brother Tarhaka, you cannot go to the world map of human geography and find any location on that map of human geography where you can find black land, Negro land, or African American land. It's not there. So therefore, you have to use the names that we are identifying ourselves with, and who they means the white European structure system that we live in at this very moment that I'm talking. And that white European structure system has miseducated us, taught us away on purpose as to who our ancestors are, and cheated us out of our greatness, the knowledge of our greatness. That was done on purpose and by design. So today as I speak, every African born in this country, every African that's living in this country, and calling themselves and using the names to identify themselves as black, Negro, and African Americans are direct descendants of those African ancient Egyptians who brought civilization to all of humanity. Every human on this earth is civilized because of our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. During the time of antiquity, during their time, living in the continent of Africa, living in the country in Africa that we know today as Egypt. And from their culture came forth the rudiments and the seed of civilization for all of humanity. That means that during the time of antiquity, over in Egypt, they were the only literate people on planet Earth. Literacy means that an individual know and practice and use an alphabet. That alphabet, or your ABCs, the first thing that you learn when a human goes to school is their ABCs. That the ABCs will make a human literate. In other words, when you learn your ABCs, you're able to read, write, and spell. So therefore, that makes one literate. So therefore, our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, were the only literate people on planet Earth. Why? Because they created the world's first alphabet to lay that foundation for them to make that claim. Also, you got to remember, they domesticated the earth, domesticated the animals, therefore bringing forth agriculture and farming and animal husbandry. And they also created all forms of mathematics in order for them to build that great pyramid and the Sphinx and other buildings that they built over there in ancient Egypt. So mathematics, all forms of mathematics were created by our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. So with that knowledge of mathematics, again, they were able to build the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid originally went from the ground up to 490 feet in the air. Okay, today there's 10 feet missing from that pyramid, so it's up from 490 down to up to 480 now. Now, on your dollar bill, if an individual get a dollar bill out of their pocket and look at that dollar bill, on that dollar bill and every dollar bill that you carry out in your pocket, you'll see a picture of the Great Pyramid. And on top of that pyramid is that eye. It's a ball, a round ball sitting on the very top of that pyramid, and that's an orange-looking type brown ball, which signifies the sun. In other words, that's our position in the world. Our ancestors left us that immortal legacy to claim that position. All we have to do is tell the world that we are Africans, descendants of the ancient Egyptians, those African ancient Egyptians who brought civilization to all of humanity. And our position in the world is on top of that pyramid. So you carry our ancestors' creation in your pocket every day, that Great Pyramid, and you carry the position of us as a people, as the descendants of those great and grand and glorious people known in history as the ancient Egyptians. You carry our position, which is at the very top of that pyramid. But when the Europeans came in, and with this trickery, the tables were turned. We found ourselves at the bottom. At the bottom, so what's at the bottom has to rise to the top. So today, as I speak, it is time for us as an African people to rise to the top and take our personal special position as the top of that pyramid, that eye, that sun, and that's who we are. So what happened to us today, you have to go through history. You have to understand and know European history as to know what happened to us. Because when the Europeans, the first Europeans ever coming into the continent of Africa, into Egypt, was a group led by Alexander the Greek, okay? And when he came into Egypt, our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, had a civilization up and going for 9,668 years. So he is a Johnny come later. So therefore, civilization was over with. See, I always heard Dr. John Henry Clark always mention, said when the Greeks came into Egypt, civilization was over with, and he was right. It was over with. So here they come in to ancient Egypt, seeing everything, and all the great and grand and glorious civilized instruments, civilized people, and civilized activity that our ancestors had created there. They created music. You got to remember that our ancestors were the world's first musicians. I hardly ever hear anybody speak about that except for myself, because I realize that the foundation, the rudiments of music is the musical scale. And you take the first 7 letters of the English alphabet, or the alphabet that we use, are the first 7 notes of the scale: do, re, mi, so, fa, la, ti, do. So those first 7 letters are letters that come from the alphabet. See, so they were the first musicians on earth, and they created music by creating that musical scale. So I can go on and on and on, but what happened is that these great and grand and glorious people got flipped to the bottom instead of staying on the top. Got flipped to the bottom by these Europeans. They did that on purpose and by design. This is nothing that just haphazardly happened. No, this is on purpose and by design by the Europeans. So he wanted to be a part of our culture that he saw our ancestors had created there in ancient Egypt. He was in awe over that. So, but our ancestors did not allow any foreigners into their culture, so he was denied entrance into our acceptance into the culture of our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. So anyway, you have to use the discipline of history and go through and cipher through the discipline of history to find out exactly what happened to our ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt. There's a history in that. And in my 2 books I published, one, The Historical Origin of Christianity, whereby the thesis of the book is saying that there has never been a man that would walk the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. And the second book is called The Historical Origin of Islam. That book is saying there's never been a man that would walk the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Prophet Muhammad of Islamic tradition never existed. So those 2 books will start you off on your quest, if you're interested, and find out what happened to our African ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt. And you know what happened to us in this hemisphere, you see. So I can go on and on and on, but I'm going to stop at this point and pick up any more questions that you have in your mind to ask me, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. Dr. Williams, that was excellent information. So we have the backdrop. Now, thanks to the information that's put out, and this stuff can be verified. I would like to recommend again that for those of you who are listening to this broadcast, make sure that you get the books, Historical Origins of Christianity and the Historical Origins of Islam. My question at this point would be, and I would like to know your personal opinion, why do you think it was so important to the people that came into Egypt? Why was it so important and so necessary for them to destroy the culture or cover up the glory and the magnificence of the culture? Why couldn't they just come in and, just enjoy the festivities and go home? Why was it so necessary to force themselves onto this particular civilization, in your opinion? Why was that so necessary?
Well, you got to remember that the Europeans came from an area in Europe, or they came from Europe. There was nothing that Europe had to offer humanity. That is the reason why if you ask a European today, what is your beginning history? You get all kinds of places and dates and so forth and so on. But in essence, the European history began when he came into Egypt and met our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. Where did he come from? He came out of Greece, out of Macedonia. Macedonia is in the Balkan areas of Europe and so forth and so on. So they couldn't read or write. They were illiterate. They were uncivilized. It was inferior, and they were a savage. See, so they came from nothing, a area that was void of the knowledge of history, void of the knowledge of civilization. And today you see that their nature is being displayed as to the people that they really are. All you have to do is look at Donald Trump and look at Europeans and over the history of the world, of their occupying and controlling the world for 2,351 years. So that's how long they've been in power, controlling this world. And they have terrorized every person on earth that's living on this planet that we call Earth. They have terrorized them. The first time they terrorized anybody other than the Europeans was our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, when they came into Egypt, cutting our culture off, our ancestors' culture off. They did that on purpose because they wanted to be made part of it. They were rejected by our ancestors because our ancestors did not race mix. They did not take foreigners into their sacred society. They did not take foreigners and allow them to mingle and with them during the time of antiquity, especially this European. So therefore, he came in as a terrorist. See, that's his way of operating. He's been doing that all of his existence on this planet, of his known existence. He's been a terrorist. He has terrorized every race that's living on this planet that we call Earth, including himself. So therefore, you have to remember and know who he is. In order to know who he is, you got to study his background, where he came from. And you got to study his nature. So therefore, when you are being terrorized by people who is inferior, uncivilized, a savage, and has no knowledge of morality. None of that. They don't have that. See? So they only see what you have, and they want to take it. They don't want to blend in and enjoy, like you said, the fruits of someone else's labor coming from their culture. They don't want to do that. They want to take it over and claim it for themselves. That's what's happening today. They are taking the civilization of our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, that was created there in Egypt, in the continent of Africa, in the country called Egypt. They're taking that civilization over and claiming it for themselves. They have taken the civilization that when the white European Spanish-speaking people in 1051 asked those Africans who are descendants of the ancient Egyptians living in those North African countries along the Mediterranean, Morocco, Mauritania, Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, Egypt, etc., to come into Spain, cross the Mediterranean and come into Spain to bring civilization to them. Our ancestors did that. That is the reason why you see the Spanish-speaking language is still being spoken today, because our ancestors did not go over there and terrorize those people. They did not go over there and invade over there, because an invader and a terrorizer, when they come into your country, they are coming in to dominate the indigenous people there, cut their culture off, and force their language on the people who they are now terrorizing. So therefore, the Spanish-speaking people kept their language because our ancestors went over there to bring civilization to them, to help them develop, and so forth and so on, with their using their higher civilization to do that. See? So they was over there in 1051, and they stayed over there for 1,427 years until the Spanish Inquisition came along, you see? And that's when they realized, these Europeans, creating these Spanish-speaking people, the Europeans, realized that they need to get rid of our ancestors, those ancient Egyptian descendants known, who they call the Moors, okay? They had been over there for 427 years, okay? From 1051 to 1428. I'm sorry, 1478, at the time of the Spanish Inquisition. Now, 33 years prior to the Spanish Inquisition, those same African Moors, or the descendants of the ancient Egyptians, went into, on the outskirts of Rome, over the catacombs, and began to build the second seat of Christianity, which was built over the catacombs, and they built the double-walled city of the Vatican over there. They built St. Peter's Basilica and St. Peter's known today, St. Peter's Church known today as St. Peter's Basilica. And they built that in over there in 1445. So they stayed over there before the Spanish and the Roman Inquisition came about, and they also just expelled these Moors after being over there for 33 years, building the Vatican for these Europeans, building the Sistine Chapel, etc., etc. See, so those two spots, European spots that we know today, Spain having a civilization due to these Africans, our African ancestors, and they call them black or Moors, who went over there and set up literacy over there in Spain. They set up a government over there for these Spanish-speaking heathens, uncivilized heathens. They set up cities over there, planned cities, and began to build brick buildings that they built over there to have a city or a building complex over there. You see, so they were very useful over there in bringing forth civilization to those uncivilized Spanish-speaking people for 427 years, from 1051 to 1478, the time of the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition was created and brought forth by Ferdinand and Isabella, and they hired a man who they appointed to be the Inquisitioner by the name of Thomas de Tarhaka, and he was a Spanish Inquisitioner. Also, he was a Roman Inquisitioner. The Roman Inquisitioner is nothing but a technical word saying that he also, not only was he also the Spanish Inquisition for the country of Spain, he was the Inquisitioner for the Roman Catholic Church, because the Roman Catholic Church allied with Spain. They allied with Spain to get rid of these Africans, to erase them out of history from ever being in Spain, forever being in the Vatican, building St. Peter's Church, known as St. Peter's Basilica, building the Sistine Chapel, so forth and so on. See, so they stayed. These Moors, these black African Moors, stayed in the Vatican for 33 years until the Spanish Inquisition of 1478 came about. You see, and they were run out of there, out of Spain, out of the Vatican, and they came over here. A section of them, a portion of them, came over here in this hemisphere of the Americas with Christopher Columbus, who discovered America for white people, because America was never lost. America was over here being occupied by the indigenous Native American Indian and the African coming from Egypt, okay, and other parts of the African continent. So they were already over here when Christopher Columbus came over here, discovering America for white people. And the Moors was brought over here to set up and bring civilization to this hemisphere that we live in at this very moment, you see? And the question that you ask, what happened to them? Okay? Here's what happened to them. Over here in this hemisphere, 1492, building up and bringing civilization to this hemisphere of the Americas for 127 years, from 1492 to 1619 is 127 years. So in 1619, what happened is that the Spanish and the Portuguese, which is one and the same, and the Roman Catholic Church decided to go into Africa and bring other African human beings out of Africa to come into this hemisphere, and they made slaves out of them. And while over here, during the time of slavery, they took the Moors, the people that we know, those Africans that we know as the Moors. Now, they don't got what they wanted from the Moors in Spain. They got what they wanted from the Moors in the Vatican. And so the Spanish Inquisition began to erase their history, or try to erase their presence over there in Spain for 427 years, okay, and in the Vatican for 33 years. Now, over in this hemisphere, they got to get rid of these same people, the Moors, again, after they used them over here to set up and bring civilization to this hemisphere. So how did they get rid of them? They took the enslaved African and this Moor that brought civilization over here, and they put this enslaved African and the Moors under one umbrella, and they called them Negroes. And once that was done, this is a way to erase the Moors from ever being over in this hemisphere. Now he's a Negro. Now you have, when that happened, you have a new African over here with a new culture. The culture that was created over here by these Negroes now is a new culture, but void of nationality coming from the African continent. So in other words, we don't have no nationality at this moment that we speak, unless we claim it. You and I are claiming it, and others are claiming it. But the vast majority, the 50 to 60 million of us, are not claiming it. We're being identified with a color description, black. We are being identified with a description of a name, Negro, and African Americans, you see? So therefore, we have to have a nationality that we need to identify and unify around. And the only way that you get that, you have to study and know your history, our ancient Egyptian ancestors' history, and European history to do that. So that's how they got rid of the Moors. So they thought they did. But then Noble Drew Ali in 1913 sprouted up. He created the Moorish Science Temple here in North America. And you know more about that than I do, Brother Tarhaka, but that's part of knowing what happened to our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, after the Greeks came into Egypt. We have to know that history. So that's what I have to say about that, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay, Dr. Williams. Now, my next question would be, what are your estimates of the damage that was done by them creating this Negro, creating this color thing? How damaging is that? How damaging is it when a man is cut off from his culture, in your opinion?
Well, the damage is, as you see, as to what is happening to us Africans in this country or this hemisphere that we call the Americas, especially the United States of America. Very damaging. So in other words, if people don't have a geographical identity to identify their ancestors' homeland, then that's the first damage. Then something is happening or happening to those people, and has happened to those people who cannot go to the world map and pick out on the world map, like the other races of people in the world can go to the world map and pick out where their ancestors come from. We can't do that as a people, as a Negro or a black or an African American in this country. We can't do that. Every name that you call yourself, there's a history attached to it. The name Negro, synonymous with black, and Negro, one and the same, African American, one and the same. The history that's attached to black, Negro, and African American is that their ancestors have been enslaved in America. A couple of years ago, at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., they created a museum called the African American Museum of History and Culture. That is supposed to be the beginning history of us as a people, you see? But you can't go to the world map and pick out African American land, Negro land, or black land. So therefore, our history did not start with slavery. Our history started with our ancestors being the ancient Egyptians. But these Europeans cut that off on purpose because this gives them, in their minds, in their savage behavior, in their mind, that gives them the right of way to steal the credit for the civilization that is in the world today, that was put here by our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, coming from their culture, from their African culture. in the continent of Africa in Egypt. So now they've strut around the world as if they own what our ancestors brought forth by way of civilization, you see? And they taught the descendants in their school system away from that. You and I went to school. We didn't know, and they didn't tell us that we were descendants of the ancient Egyptians, the greatest people that's ever walked this earth in human form. They didn't tell us that. They gave me, when I was 8 years old, a book called Little Black Sambo. And Little Black Sambo, for those who don't know about the story of Black Sambo, Little Black Sambo is an African boy who took the tiger by the tail and went around and around and around until both turned together. Now, that's supposed to be my history, our history as an African people. And they gave that book, that same book, Little Black Sambo, to this white child. That book, Little Black Sambo, was supposed to make that white child feel superior over us. The Little Black Sambo book given to me when I was 8 years old in Chicago, sitting up in the elementary school, supposed to make me feel inferior, but it didn't do it. It backfired on me because you see me today talking about our ancestors, ancient Egyptians. So what they have done, one has to realize, what they have done, when they cut our culture off and put us under that one umbrella with the Moors, the enslaved Africans brought out of Africa, put up under that one umbrella with a African people who they call black or Moors. They put both under the same umbrella and call them Negroes. So therefore, at that point, this is what one has to realize. A new African culture began at that very point, at that very time in history, 1619. A new African culture, but void of a national identity, a nationality. And we've been over in this country all this time, right at 400 years, a little better, under the name of Negro, okay? And from our culture, we are leading the whole entire world. The world is following this American-born Negro. We are innovators. We are creators. We created the greatest music that's ever heard on planet Earth, jazz, all forms of jazz. We are innovators of that, the creators of that, okay? We created blues. Only one race of people on earth that can sing the blues, us, Africans in this country. Only one race of people that can really play jazz, and that's one race of people called the Negro. We created spiritual music, gospel music. Only one race of people can sing gospel, and that's us, known as Negroes today, okay? But we're on our way to taking back our ancestors' culture and identifying with our ancestors as being the African ancient Egyptians who brought forth civilization for all humanity. So that's what I want to say to that, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay, Dr. Williams, at this point I'd like to let the listening audience know that the phone lines are open. And all you have to do is just dial 310-982-4184, 310-982-4184. Press 1 on your phone, and my switchboard will give me an indication that you have something to say. And if you got a question, comment for our guest, just press 1 on the phone, and we'll let you in. See, we have a caller, area code 708. I'm going to open up the phone line.
May I hotel my brother and Dr. Walter Williams and Brother Tarhaka? How are you? This is Keith from Chicago.
Hey, Brother Keith, my man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Doc. How are you and your lovely wife, Anetta?
Fine. How's your sister Joy, your wife?
She's doing great. She's doing
That's
great.
Wonderful.
She sends her love. Yeah, okay. I kind of got. I know that you are on this show every last Sunday, and it kind of slipped my mind, the last few weeks. And so when I was on YouTube downloading some of your previous work, I grabbed one of those that you were actually on Tarhaka's show, I believe maybe last month or something, and it kind of reminded me to make this call. And
Good.
so here I am, and I'm so happy. I've been meaning to call you, but I don't want to take up a lot of time. I want to ask you about can you explain briefly that the timeline for mankind? I know you went from the black 10,000 BC, and you gave those numbers. I'd like to write them down this time if you have time. If not, I can call you later and get it another time.
Okay, well, I can explain that, Brother Keith, and I so much appreciate your call. And, in fact, I've been thinking about you for the last 2 or 3 weeks,
Yeah.
In fact, so I said, I got to call my brother Keith. Well, anyway, I was so glad to hear your voice at this very moment. But anyway, I'm going to explain the timeline. When you study, or anybody study, history, human history, I'm not talking about pseudo-epigraphical history, false and fictitious history. I'm talking about human history. You have to, number one, find the world's first and oldest civilized people. That's where you got to go to first. Find the world's first and oldest civilized people. I hope you got your paper and pen. And
I got it.
The world's first and oldest civilized people are Africans, known in history as the ancient Egyptians. That they represent all of Africa. They represent the black race, starting with the ancient Egyptians, living in the continent of Africa. Their beginning history started 10,000 BC, okay, before the common era. 10,000 BC, the black race, represented by a people known in history as the ancient Egyptians. The next race is the brown race, who is represented by the Indians of India. From the Indus Valley civilization came the first beginning of an Indian appearing on planet Earth in history. Now, mind you, all these people were living on Earth prior to that. No one can tell you how long they've been on Earth. But anyway, this is the timeline that in order for an individual who is a student, who wants to learn and not scatter their mind, they have to have a timeline concerning other people on Earth. You got 7 billion humans walking this Earth of all race, creeds, and color. And you have to know the timeline of their existence, and you got to know where we as an African people, where our timeline began. So again, the black race is represented by a people known in history as the ancient Egyptians, world's first and oldest civilized people. Why? How can you prove that they're the world's first and oldest civilized people? Because they created an alphabet to make themselves that. The second race is the brown race, coming out of India, in the Indus Valley. Their time beginning on history is 2,500, not to exceed 3,000 BC. You see? So that's your second race. The third race is the yellow race, known as the Chinese race. Their civilization began in the Wangho Valley civilization in China. 150, not to exceed 1,000 BC. See, so they're a little younger than the people of India. The people of India are younger than our African ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. So in China, they represent the yellow race. Now here comes the fourth race, is the white race. Now the white race does not have a beginning history for their existence. So remember that. The white race does not have a beginning history for their existence on Earth. Now, I will give the white race a beginning history, since they don't have one. Their beginning history started when Alexander the Greek came into Egypt in 332 BC. Again, our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, had a civilization that had been in use for 9,668 years before the Europeans ever thought of. So when he came into Europe, for him ever thought of becoming into Egypt or Africa. When he came in, again, our ancestors had a civilization up and running for 9,668 years. So that is the very beginning of the European time on the world stage of human history. And when he came on there, the light switch went on for him, or the time clock began to tick for the beginning time of his time on the stage of world history. So that would be my answer to you. And if you have any other questions, you can ask me now, or you have my phone number. You can always call me.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. But I just want to comment and say I love you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Brother Tarhaka, for this message that you are allowing to
I love you too,
go
brother.
over this World Wide Web. Dr. Walter, you know you changed our life, and so you will always be near and dear to our hearts. And in parting, I just say continue the work that you all do, and may I hotep. Talk to you soon.
And may I hotep to you, my brother, and you make me feel so humble. You make me feel and swell up with tears in my eyes. And I do love you, my brother, Brother Keith, and your lovely, beautiful wife, Joy. I love you people. I love you too. Anyway, love you guys. And thank you so much for the call, and thank you so much for the comments. May I hotep. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay. Well, we thank you, brother. Dr. Williams, that was an excellent answer to the brother's question. I would also like to add, I doing my research, because sometimes I go through the YouTube videos if I'm not on Google and stuff, and if I'm not reading in my books. But I ran into a segment where there was this Chinese gentleman, and he believed, and he was trying to get some kind of supporting evidence to try to prove that the Chinese people were a race of their own, and they came to existence as a race of people of their own. And he had his laboratory, and he had his money and his scientists, and they began to do the DNA and all of this stuff. And they came to the conclusion that they descended from the same African. And it was amazing because he would, if he was looking for truth, he found the truth, you have to acknowledge truth, which would be a good thing. In a lot of cases, people refuse to do that. They'll know the truth after finding the truth, and then they go back to covering up the truth. I've been told and found research where a brother made a discovery about the pre-civilizations of us already being here on the continent. And you got anthropologists and archaeologists that were refusing to acknowledge the facts, even though they were on a table sitting in front of them. They refused to do so. And also, the Christian church refused to touch it. But the facts were there. So, in my opinion, this cover-up of our identity is a massive thing. This thing is massive, and I think it's up to us to come into the knowledge of ourselves and to display our identity and to be prepared to let anyone know that we are fully aware of our nationality and identity. I'm not black. I'm not colored, not African American. I don't do any of that. And I, would gladly tell anybody and then provide them with proof. Because I'm not just saying something because I heard something somewhere. I take great pride in it, beyond any shadow of a doubt. And so my next question brings me to another question. The children. Because I think that is very important for us to make this information available to our children, even though we may have children that may not see it that way because they've been indoctrinated too, and to them, a lot of them, it's like, well, it's no big deal, but it is a big deal, and it is very valuable for them to know because they are the future. And I think it's important for us to continue dispensing this information to reach the children so that they would know who they are. And I've had quite a few people with children that have taken advantage of this information and have shouted it from the mountaintop in the school system. And in a lot of cases, it didn't go over well, and then they want to punish the child and all of this because, to me, when a slave stands up and say, well, I'm no longer a slave, well, that creates a problem for a master. So what do you think about that in regards to the children?
Well, the children is very important, but I want to, before I get to that answer to that question about the children, I want to comment on the reference that you made about the Chinese and so forth and so on. Okay. From my understanding, that you said that the Chinese found out that he came from Africans. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what he did was he used his laboratory and his own money out of his own pocket to conduct his experiments using the DNA testing and all the information that he had. And he came to the conclusion that they're descendants from the same African people. That was his conclusion, and that's what he got on YouTube and said. Well, let me
dispel that. I don't buy into that. What's happening out here today? There are people out here, especially Africans, out here in our community, who think because they have been told by people that they looked up to and by historians and so forth and so on, that all races of people come from the African race. That's not true. I'm going to tell you why it's not true. If all races of people came from the African race, today as I speak, over in Africa, a mother who goes to the hospital to have a baby brought forth from her body, why isn't she producing a Chinese baby? Why isn't the African producing an Indian baby of India? Why isn't this African producing a Mexican baby? Why isn't this African producing a Filipino baby? Why isn't this African producing a Japanese baby? And I can go on and on and on. No, that's not true. Okay? That's one reason why it's not true. It's not happening today. Okay? Give me a time, and you and I always use the term, give me the time based on facts. Okay? To ask how, if this individual insists on saying, all races come from Africa, give me the facts to that. There's no facts, none whatsoever. So we have to dispel that. Again, we cannot use or say that all races come from us. We can say this, that all civilization came from us. That's where we can be outstanding and back it up. Because the question has to be asked of anybody, what alphabet did your ancestors use? Because their ancestors did not have an alphabet. The first alphabet was created by Africans known in history as the ancient Egyptians. That's the world's first alphabet that was created and is still in use today. You see? And why is it that cannot say that all races come from man. Why? Because every human, 7 billion humans walking this earth, cannot tell you how they got here on earth as a human being. I can't tell you, Tarhaka, Amana El Bay, or any persons listening to this broadcast how Walter Williams got here on earth. Tarhaka Amana El Bay can't tell the world how you got here. You can't tell the world how you got here. The only thing I can say, I found myself here consciously at 4 years old. Tarhaka Amana El Bay can say, I found him. He found himself here at 3 years old. So from 0 to 4, 0 to 3, we have no conscious memory of ourselves. Okay? So therefore, we found ourselves, Walter Williams found himself at 4 years old living geographically in Chicago, Illinois, belonging racially to a people known then as Negroes. Okay? And Tarhaka, you're the same. You found yourself in Jacksonville, Florida. And you found yourself being identified as a Negro. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, you can't tell me, no human can say and tell you at what month during the 9 months of incubated process to bring forth a human being from the body of a female human, at what what month of the 9 months of incubation did your eyeballs pop in, your toes appear, your arms appear? You can't say that. So you found yourself consciously at a certain age, conscious age in your mind. So therefore, that wipes all of that out. You see? So that's just a theory that is brought forth in our African community to be used in absence of knowing who our ancestors are. Since the majority of us don't know their ancestral's identity, they use this, all races come from Africa, to make themselves feel good. We don't need that anymore. We need to know that our ancestors brought civilization to all of humanity, to this planet that we call Earth. That's where our dignity and our greatness is lying unclaimed in the continent of Africa as I speak. Now, let me get back to the children. It's very, very, very important that we teach our children now. We can no longer allow our children to be sent off to these schools to be miseducated like you and I were, okay? So we can't allow that anymore. We got to take control of our children's education, okay? And we have to use the foundation of the ancient Egyptians, our ancestors, those Africans who brought forth civilization to all of humanity. We have to use that point, starting from that point, to teach our children that they are indeed a descendant of the greatest people that's ever walked this earth, known in history as ancient Egyptians. There's my dear brother, Brother Jay, from Pasadena, California, who is on his way to homeschooling his 2 children. He's got 2 boys, one 6 and one 3. And he's been in correspondence with me, and I've been giving him information to pass on to his children, and he's doing just that. So we have to take control of our children's education. We got to take control of what's being put into their minds at an early age. You see? So what has been put into the minds of our people over the years of the 400 years that we've been over in this hemisphere is Christianity, mainly Christianity, and then other religions such as Islam and Black Hebrew Israelitism and Judaism, etc. Now, how does one become a Christian? The parents of that infant child coming out of the mother's womb is being passed on a disease and a virus to that child called religion, called Christianity. So that child grows up with a big cross and a dead white man around his or her neck, and they don't even know how it got there and what it represents. You see? So all that has to stop. So we have to take control of homeschooling our own children. So my hat's off to my dear brother, Brother Jay, and his wife, who live in Pasadena, California, and they are taking charge of their children, their 2 boys, and they're gathering information from people such as myself and other areas of knowledge. They're taking in this knowledge so they can have to pass on to their children the truth. We have to know the truth. The truth shall make us free. The truth will make you free. And like the saying goes, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And when you go to school, they entertain you for the years that you are in school. And they give you a certificate of training. That's all you being done to in these schools is being trained. See, there's no education. The things that you and I know, Brother Tarhaka, the things that others know, such as my wife, Sister Arnetta Williams, such as my sister-in-law, Sister Emma McGowan out of San Francisco, California. The knowledge that just us 4, using those names, the knowledge that we have, we didn't learn it in school. You didn't learn what you. The school system didn't teach you what you know. The school system didn't teach me what I know. The school system did not teach what my wife Arnetta knows or my sister-in-law Emma knows. They didn't teach us the information that we have today as I speak. We had to go to our own schools. You, Tarhaka, went to the University of Tarhaka of Monterey Bay. I, Walter Williams, went to the University of Walter Williams. My sister, Emma McGowan, my sister-in-law, Emma McGowan, had to go to the University of Emma McGowan. My wife, Arnetta, had to go to the school of Arnetta Williams University. And you find that throughout our African, throughout the African diaspora, as I speak, we had to teach our own self because the system, the school system that's out here, organized school system, miseducated us on purpose. So in order for us to get out of this dilemma, we're going to have to study our way out of it and learn our way out of it. Teach ourselves, seek information. Like you said, invest in yourself. Seek information and invest in your own self and your own education. Okay? So you have to, one, be aware of something that's happening, something is wrong out here in the society that you and I and we live in as a people in this country. So that's what I have to say to that.
Okay, well put. Well put. Dr. Williams, when it comes to the science of the Moors and Egyptians, I find, in my opinion, I find it identical. Right? It seems to me that these people, the ancient African Egyptians, the Moors, one and the same people, were the actual keepers of the knowledge that could provide civilization. Mathematics, alphabets, music, the whole ball of wax. And it's easy for me to look at it and to know where it came from because I don't see it coming from any other people on the planet other than these people. You want to elaborate on these science aspect of this thing?
Well, you said it all. Everything came from the culture of our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, you see. And the European, he wanted to claim what our ancestors had created in the continent of Africa 9,668 years before he got in contact with our ancestors. So he walks around today not saying anything, trying to erase the ancient Egyptians from being connected with us Africans living in this country who are calling themselves Negroes, Black, and African Americans. He wants to erase that, see? But he cannot erase that. He hasn't done a good job erasing that. For instance, just today, I was talking to my sister-in-law, Emma McGowan. She called, and as you know, she lives in San Francisco. And she was telling me about something. Now, I want you to listen to this. I'm going to try to explain to you in the listening audience exactly what she told me, but I got to get it embedded into me in order for me to frame it where I can really bring it home. But anyway, she told me that there was a Mexican guy that she was talking to one day, and this Mexican told her about a Mexican proverb that, in essence, the European tried to get rid of the Mexican by burying his past. And Mexican proverbs that this Mexican explained to her, see, he used the word bury. When you bury something, there's a seed attached to it. You see that? It's something that you bury has to have a seed. Other than that, you don't have nothing to bury. So therefore, the European trying to get rid of the Mexican, burying him out of existence, but he buried the seed, and that seed began to grow. And what happens when the growth comes from the seed? It springs back up, right? So therefore, we, the Europeans, tried to bury us. But the seed, you see, he made a mistake. He buried the seed. And the seed began to generate and sprout and come back up through Walter Williams, through Tarhaka Black, through Emma McGowan, through Annetta Williams, through other scholars, as well Quasi, James Small, and so forth and so on. You see? So that seed, he buried the seed. That's the mistake he made. So here we are today, coming forth as descendants of the greatest people that has ever walked this earth in human form, known in history as the ancient Egyptians. Here we are. You see that, my brother Tarhaka?
Okay, well, Dr. William, what do you think? What other efforts do you think that we can make to make a difference in getting these people who insist on not thinking that it's important enough to embrace a nationality in their culture? What else do you think that we can do? I know you got your book that is supposed to be a new book that's going to be coming out. And by the way, how's progress on that?
New book is coming slowly, but I'm putting new information in as I go. And there's so many things that crop up in your life on a daily basis that keeps you from really staying with the book until it's really completed. So many things happen out of the norm. So the listening audience has to bear along with us. My wife and I, we are doing everything we can to bring this book into fruition. So give us a little bit more time, and once that book is out, you're going to have a dynamite book. Believe me. Okay. It's pregnant with information that you can't get anyplace else but that book. So just be patient. It'll be out.
Okay. Now, the current books that you have already written, I've been waiting for someone to come up and to present some information, either in support of our position and so forth. We haven't had anybody coming forth with that kind of thing. But I'm going to take a little quick break, and when we come back, we'll be able to continue. And the phone lines are currently open. So if you have a question or comment for our guest, Dr. Walter Williams, just press 1 on the phone. That'll give me an indication got something to say. But in the meantime, hold on, Dr. Williams. We'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
You don't have to lose your home due to foreclosure. You don't have to worry about child support. You don't have to be in credit card debt. Have no fear. Tarhaka Armana El Bay is here at newdebtelimination.com. Got student loans, child support, mortgages? Contact someone who's got the experience and the knowledge to get you back under God's law. That's Tarhaka Armana El Bay. He's been there, he's done that, and he can prove it. Just give him a call at 904-303-9061. That number again is 904-303-9061. And log on to newdebtelimination.com. That's newdebtelimination.com and get yourself free.
Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Williams, are you still with us?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Okay. You mentioned earlier about the Spanish Inquisition. Could you bring us up to speed with details on exactly what was that all about?
Well, like I said before, the white Spanish speaking people who lived in the country we know as Spain, they asked an African people who were descendants of the ancient Egyptians, who lived along those countries in North Africa in the middle of the 11th century. We're talking about the countries of Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, and Mauritania, to come into Spain and to bring civilization to them. So therefore, these people crossing the Mediterranean, African people came into Spain to bring civilization. They didn't come in as terrorists. They didn't come in as someone going to take over the country. They didn't come in as invaders. They were invited in. So therefore, today as I speak, the Spanish language is still spoken by the people living in Spain. So therefore, they stayed over there for 427 years, okay, bringing civilization to these people. They set up literacy over there, school system. They set up government over there. They set up cities, designed cities, began to build buildings over there, such as Seville, Grenada, Cadillac, etc., etc. And they were over there 427 years doing this. And then in 1445, when the seed of Christianity moved out of northeast Africa, out of the double-walled city of Constantinople. Constantinople today is known as Istanbul, Turkey today. From the world's first Christian church known as the Hagia Sophia. When that seat was moved into Europe by John VIII in 1439, relinquishing as a curia there in Florence, Italy. The word curia, C-U-R-I-A, means curia. This was during in the 42nd year of the Renaissance. The Renaissance era of Europe had just began. And John VIII went over there in 1439 and relinquished the donation of Constantine. You can read about the donation of Constantine in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity. And he relinquished that donation to make way for the seat to be moved into Europe, which was moved on the outskirts of Rome, over the catacombs. These same Africans, known as Moors, came into what we know today as the Vatican and began to build the Vatican. Because the Vatican, as I speak today, is nothing but a a replica of the double-walled city of Constantinople, a replica. So these Africans, these known as the Moors, came into the Vatican and began to build St. Peter's Church, known today as St. Peter's Basilica, and they began to build the Sistine Chapel, where the popes and other dignitaries live over there. And they were over there for 33 years until Ferdinand and Isabella thought of the idea of how to get rid of them by creating what is known in history as the Spanish Inquisition. And they, this was in 1478, and they got a man by the name of Thomas de Tarhaka to be the Inquisitor General. He was also the Inquisitor General for the Roman Inquisition. The Roman Inquisition and the Spanish Inquisition is which was under the rulership and the guidance and the control of Thomas de Tarhaka. They were the same. In other words, he was the same Inquisitor General for the Spanish government as well as the Roman Catholic Church. That's the reason why they said he was the Spanish Inquisitor for the Roman Inquisition. The word Roman Inquisition signifies the Roman Catholic Church. See, because the Roman Catholic Church had allied with the country of Spain. That's the reason why you see today, as you go through these Latin American countries today, you see anywhere they speak Spanish, what do you see in the midst of these people, whoever speaks Spanish in whatever country, these Latin American countries that you may visit, you find the Roman Catholic Church, because they had allied with Spain during this time. Okay? We're talking about 1478. And then with that unification, they were tied together. They were unified together, and they still are unified together. See? So as I speak, they're unified together. They came over here in this hemisphere. And in 1619, that's when the slave trade began. The slave trade was created and began by the Spanish, the Portuguese, and the Roman Catholic Church. Don't leave them out. They were the cause of us Africans being enslaved in this country, the Roman Catholic Church, because they had slave plantations throughout America. In fact, in 1832, the Roman Catholic Church sold 272 Africans as slaves to raise money for George Washington University that was built in Washington, D.C. So that is where the Spanish Inquisition comes in, the importance of the Spanish Inquisition, who were connected with the Spanish Inquisition, who made up the Spanish Inquisition, what year it was started, why it was started, to get rid of the Moors, erase the Moors. Today, you never heard nobody saying and pointing to where the Moors was over in the Vatican. I believe I'm the only one. I'm not putting any flowers on myself, but I believe I'm the only one that mentions the Moors building the Vatican. Okay, so we know that they were over in Spain, and now you know that they were over in the Vatican. So why did they want to get rid of the Moors out of Spain? To erase their history and the existence out of Spain and the Vatican. They said this was done for racial reasons and religious reasons. The racial reason is because they are and were Africans. You see, that's the racial reason, because they were Africans. The religious reason is because they were Mohammedans. You see? So they'll tell you, we in Spain, during the Spanish Inquisition, they wanted to run the non-Christians out of Spain. And the people who were non-Christians had to wear armbands to let the people in Spain know that they were non-Christian. And they would put the Jews in his place. See, there was no Jews. Never been no Jews Jews was created in the Bible in a narrative story, but that goes into another history. So now here they say, they want to get rid of the non-Christian and Jews. Okay, no, they want to get rid of the Africans who are non-whites. They want to get rid of those Africans who had practiced Mohammedanism. That's the religion that they want to wipe out of there. So that is my answer to you, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay, now this they had other things that occurred that we know about, the burning of witches in Salem and all of this kind of stuff. And you had your Civil War, you had all of these things. It is amazing to me why a particular people, just this particular people, is attacked the way that they were. Are you familiar with the reasoning behind the burning of witches in Salem? Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not. Explain it to me a little bit more.
Well, it seems to me that based on what I had researched, was people were accused of being witches, and it was women, witches, and I'm trying to figure out if you have been exposed to a civilized people, how could you come up with all this hocus pocus business in your brain? And but I also heard that it was an attempt to get women out of the men-wife business of birthing children. It was a whole lot of stuff said, but they were taking people out, and they were killing them. There's all this religious stuff in their minds. If you didn't believe this and you didn't believe that, and you were not a devout Christian, and you didn't do all this, then you were a heretic, and you were could be sentenced to death. And to me, that's just simply not a civilized people. And I'm trying to figure out how these particular people missed the boat. Where were they when civilization was being given out?
Well, you're talking about the Europeans who brought this into the world, this type of ideology, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Well, I just said they had no beginning history. So their beginning history started when Alexander the Greek came into Egypt in 332 BCE. That's when the time clock began for their beginning history. Now, you're talking about this going on when the seed of Christianity had moved out of northeast Africa, out of the Hagia Sophia, into on the outskirts of Rome. Okay, that's where the seed of Christianity is today. That's the second seed. So from that seed of Christianity coming out of Europe, now today the Christians of the world today are being taught a Christianity based off of European doctrine. See, they're practicing Western European Christianity. Okay, and in Western European Christianity, which was you find that what happened out there with these Europeans and these little homosexuals who got control and have control of the Roman Catholic Church as I speak, they had and still have a hatred for females. They don't like no females. That's the reason why they put in the Bible about this Adam and Eve. Eve is evil. She enticed this male Adam to eat from the tree of righteousness, etc., etc. You heard the story. So she becomes a evil victim, the female. Okay, she's no good. See, so therefore we have to avoid her. So now the same group of homosexuals who are controlling the Roman Catholic Church and Christianity at that time, okay, when that seat moved, targeted women as being witches with all types of stories, like they did us as an African people, during World War II, I can remember soldiers going in, fighting in that war called World War II, going over in Europe fighting for this country. But the soldiers, the white soldiers, and the military regime from America told those Europeans over there that we had tails. You see, that stay away from him. He's got a tail on him. That is to keep the white women from going with our men, our African men over there. So they created this same scenario for this female. See, remember, white men does not like females. They don't like their women. Okay? So therefore, they set in a division among the female. It's called sexism. You see? So with this ism called sexism, you can put all kinds of things in there. You see? And they have the institution and the news media to keep it alive or make it factual, which is a lie, in people who cannot think's mind. So that's a war. This witches, that this witch came over here, that this Eve enticed Adam to eat from the tree of righteousness, and so forth and so on. All that goes back to that. All set up by these homosexual fags running around controlling the Roman Catholic Church with their little red shoes on and their little gowns and dresses and so forth and so on. Okay? Intimidating and molesting boys in the pursuit of their hatred of women. You see? So that's where that came from. That's where I would place it. So that would be my answer to you, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay, Dr. Williams. Do you think that the Roman Catholic Church would ever acknowledge their wrongdoings, their participation in the burning of churches in the Americas, or the homosexuality? And do you think that they will? Because it seems to me, if you say that you in Christ's stead and you are the vicars of Christ and you are holy and all of this, and we're supposed to confess our sins. So, do you think that they would ever do that?
Well, they're going to be forced to do that, Brother Tarhaka, because what's happening out here is that the descendants of ancient Egyptians are waking up. We're waking up. And my challenge to the Roman Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church know that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. They know there's no Jesus Christ. They know that. So the only people that can bring them to admit that is people such as you and I, who know the truth and know the history that's attached to that truth. They're going to have to admit that. They have no choice but to admit it. They're going to have to tell the world that there is no Jesus Christ. And in so doing, they will free the world of the lies that they have created around this Jesus the Christ. You have to know of what Pope Leo X said in the 16th century. He said the myth of Christ, he's a pope, the myth of Christ has served us well. See? So he knew the truth. The truth is known that by the Roman Catholic Church that there is no Jesus Christ. But we, us descendants of the ancient Egyptians, such as myself, have to confront them with that. And when you confront them with that, you have to have facts to back up what you're talking about. You can't go by what you think and what you believe. You got to have facts, you see? And they will admit that, because the Roman Catholic Church, as I speak, is a spiritually dead institution. Spiritually dead. It's always been a spiritually dead institution. So that's my answer to you, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. Well, based on the investigation of histories that I found, dating all the way back to ancient times of Greeks and stuff, when it came to pedophilia and homosexuality and stuff, these civilizations would collapse. And if we got, and this is just my personal opinion, but if we got this thing trying to be acceptable by some type of means in this country, I think we have a problem. But it seems as though it's being promoted as normal and acceptable. But I find something wrong with that, because if we have the sexual organs that we have, and the male and female can come together and produce children, and then doing it some other kind of way is non-productive, I cannot see how civilization can move forward and progress in the face of this type of behavior.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brother Tarhaka, but see, you got to go back in history during the time of antiquity. In the culture of our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, homosexuality was not practiced. But I'm not going to say there was no homosexuals. The reason why I can't say there was no homosexuals is because nature produces a homosexual. And you cannot deny that. See? But the homosexual practice was not being practiced, according to my research, in the continent of Africa. But nature, being as it is, produced homosexuals, and that includes homosexuals in Africa. Okay? But not on purpose trying to make others to practice the same thing. Once a homosexual is produced by nature, that individual is not going to go out and try to entice another African or human being to practice homosexuality, what he was born with. He was born with being a homosexual. He can't help that. It's nothing that he can't help that. That's part of his nature. It's part of his makeup. This is the hand that nature dealt him. You see? So, that is what I have to say about that. But so far as openly practicing homosexuality during the time of antiquity, during the time of our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, no. But, again, nature produced homosexuals. And they were produced among the African ancient Egyptians as well. Okay? And there's a name for the homosexual that were in the society and the culture of the ancient Egyptians. I can't bring up that name. It's escaping me now. But they were they did domestic work, and they worked in and with the society that they lived in, which was ancient Egypt. And they functioned very well because the ancient Egyptians knew who they were, did not denounce them. The reason why they were not denounced is because nature had gave them their natural nature identity, such as being a person that is liking the opposite sex. Okay? That they couldn't help. You see? And they were used in the society of the ancient Egyptians. And that name that they were called escapes me at this very moment. Perhaps as we go throughout this program, it'll come back to me. So that's what I have to say to that, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. Well, Dr. Williams, we've covered a lot of ground here. But I'm looking at the people, places, times, and events when it comes to the Americas and the identity of the ancient African Egyptian descendants here in this country. And when it came to the music, because I look at the music that my people produce, excuse me, compared to the music comes from other cultures, I think the music that we produce is the music that suits us. I think this is it belongs to us, and this is the music that I'm comfortable with, and I can identify with. But as far as I'm concerned, there are other music that's being played by other cultures and stuff that's not. It just simply don't suit me. I mean, I try to say I love all music, but I really love the music that my people produce. So you dealt with the music skill of the music, and but I feel like our contribution to music in the world today is super fantastic. I went back to look at this thing involving Motown, and I seen where a lot of the rising rock stars that will copy the music and sing the same songs, and ride the tide of that particular music. So there's no doubt in my mind about the ancient African Egyptians being the originators and the producers of this kind of music. You can elaborate some more, because you was a part of a band once, weren't you, Dr. Williams? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Yeah, I used to be a professional musician. I played in different bands around Chicago, and went on the road with certain bands, and I played with the great Sun Ra and other great musicians and so forth and so on. So yes, I was part of that musical movement back then in the late 40s and 50s and 60s and things like that. The name, before we go into this, the name that escaped me was a eunuch. He's known as a eunuch. The homosexual in Egypt was known as a eunuch, okay? And they treated him, they didn't degrade him. They didn't stone him. They didn't curse him. They treated him with utmost respect and honor, because they knew what nature had done to him, that he could not help that. So therefore, they gave him love. And this is what you're supposed to do to homosexuals, that nature produced that human as a homosexual. You give them love. You don't stone them or kill them or whatever the case might be. No, you don't do that. So the name that escaped me at that time was eunuch, a eunuch. Yeah, that's what it was. But anyway, getting back to our music that we produce, that's part of the new African culture that was created here in the United States of America as a result of slavery, cutting off our history from our ancestors, making us a new African people with a new African culture. And it's called the Negro culture of America. And in that culture, we created the greatest music that's ever been heard on this planet, called jazz, blues, and gospel. And there's only one race of people that can play jazz, blues, and gospel, and you have to be a Negro to do that. No other race of people can play that music, because we have that one ingredient in us as a people, and that's our indwelling divine spirituality that that is needed to put into the playing of this music. If you avoid that, then they have people who imitate us. But when you listen to the imitator, what is missing? That one seed is missing from their playing. They cannot play it like us because they did not invent it. They are only imitators. So by them being an imitator of a different race, they cannot get the full essence and the quality of our music that we created right here over in this hemisphere called America. And that is that jazz, blues, and gospel, and all of those dances that we created. You know, the Watusi and the electric slide and kill that roach and swish swash and all that kind of stuff. You know, so so every month we've got a new dance going out. They can't keep up with us. Okay, they put us on television for years. Soul Train was put on television to teach white people and the rest of the world the latest dances that we've created. Okay, so. We are the innovators. They are following us. We are the Pied Pipers of the world. Sun Ra once told me, and told all of us young guys coming around him, he said that once the world know that we are descendants of the ancient Egyptians, and we claim that they will follow us around like we're the Pied Piper, leading them. We lead them everywhere, all over this world. You hear our music being played. I was in Italy back in 1975. In Rome, Italy. I went checked in the hotel. Me and my wife, we checked in that hotel. We turned on the radio. Who's coming through that radio was B.B. King, Sweet 16. Man, I said, wow. Right? That's correct. And then we went into the Pisa, Italy, where the Leaning Towers are, and out on the on the outdoors they had an open market out there. And guess who they was playing out there? It was coming loud and clear. Little Johnny Griffin, saxophone player from Chicago, Illinois, straight out of Deuce Alva High School. He was playing his behind off right there. Johnny Griffin. You see? So they got. Then we went to discos as part of the tour. And the music that they played, it's nothing but our music. It's all over. You see? So we have to know who we are and claim our greatness as who we are. Claim what we have brought forth to the world as civilization. We're still bringing to the world forms of civilization every day. Rap music, hip-hop, all those things. Nobody can sing hip hop and rap music like we do. Can't do it. Can't do it. They don't have the ingredients to do that. See? But they try to imitate us, but they come up short because they don't have that one ingredient, that Negro spirituality that's inside of each and every one of us. See? We got it. And they know it. So they try to take it away or try to eradicate it as much as they can. But they can't do it because there's a new movement afoot at this very moment, Brother Tarhaka, as I speak. The new movement is taking place among young people in this country. Okay? And then, if you notice, during that rally and march that they had, that the young people had after the killing was done in Texas, that rally and march produced children of 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16 years old, 17 years old, speaking very articulate during that rally. It was on television. You saw it on television. I'm sure your listening audience saw it also. But I want to bring out one thing to you and the listening audience about what those kids had to say. Children now. That one time did God come out of their mouth. Not one time did Jesus come out of their mouth. Not one time did they say we're going to have to pray to solve our problem. They didn't say that. See? So there's a new movement out there. And there are people out there, grown-ups, ministers out here walking away from their church. We had Josephine Hughes a year before last on our program, you and I, and Clemson Brown.
Mm-hmm.
When she walked away from her church in Lufkin, Texas. You see? So there's a brother out of North Carolina who was a minister for 25 years. He walked away from his church. He called me about 2 or 3 weeks ago and told me what happened to him. That he heard this voice saying, "It's a lie, it's a lie." And he woke up. It woke him up. It startled him. He said that he went to his Bible and started reading verses out of it, but that voice still saying, "It's a lie, it's a lie." Until he, long story short, he found a tape of Aswaquazi, and he found a tape of Walter Williams. And he said that turned him around. He knew that what he was preaching was a lie, and he stopped cold turkey. So, and then you got these young people out here. They're not. Churches are being closed, and the pews are empty because the lack of attendance. Young people are not going to go for this anymore. It's a change out here. You and I, Brother Tarhaka, are in the forefront of that change. So we're going to have to keep on doing what we're doing and keep talking the same conversations, bringing up the same subjects that we're talking. Somebody is listening out there. How do I know this? Because I'm getting many, many emails, and you are too. I'm sure you're getting a lot of emails as a result of our program, such as the one that you produce at this very moment that I'm talking on. You get many emails from around the country and the world, okay, stating how this program, with you and I on, have helped them liberate themselves, you see, out of this dilemma. We cannot liberate people, but we can give you the information so you can use to liberate yourself. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay. Well, you're absolutely correct. I found out that it is important for us to, once we know the truth, to continue to verify the truth and do as much investigation we can to find all of the supporting information that we can. But we don't want to know the truth, and once we know the truth, just walk away from it and just say, well, I know the truth, and not continue to research and study about the truth. That way it stays at the forefront of your mind and you can speak it regularly. Fortunate enough for me, we had these broadcasts, so I'm reminded all of the time. But there are other people that don't, and what I would like to recommend to them is the mind is like a hole with a bucket with a hole in it. You fill it up with water, the information keeps seeping out, so you got to continue to put worthwhile information in it because you'll forget over time. And even if you know something in your mind, you still need to be able to articulate it, and you can best do that if you are constantly with it at the forefront, because it's just that important. That's just my personal opinion, and I found out that works for me in study, and got a little construction going on down here, and I can't get in my books like I want to, but soon it'll be over, and I'll be able to go back because I have quite a few videos and stuff on other things that I want to put up on YouTube, and this particular broadcast will be on YouTube as well. I would like to say to the listening audience that the phone lines are open. If you have a question for our guest, press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication that you got something to say, and open up the phone lines so you can ask your question or give us your comment. Now, Dr. Williams, when it comes to the location, we know that the Moors / ancient African Egyptian descendants are in the Americas. Where else do you think they are on this earth?
Well, you can say all over, wherever African people are, unless they tell you, I am a Nigerian. Okay? I come from Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
I come from Senegal. I come from Mali, etc., etc. Now, the descendants of the Moors and the African ancient Egyptians are known and calling themselves black people. That's your mark there. You see, the people who call themselves blacks and African Americans and Negroes, those names does not give you a African nationality. So therefore, that's the answer to you. Where are they today? Anybody who calls themselves black, Negro, and African American. So you have the abundance of Africans living in this hemisphere in North America who uses those names to identify themselves racially. So my answer to you, they are the descendants of the ancient Egyptians and the Moors, one and the same, because they were put up under one umbrella with the enslaved African by the Spanish and the Portuguese and the Roman Catholic Church, and they were labeled Negroes. So they are walking around today without a national nationality, without a national African identity. So that answer to your question is, where are they today? They are Negroes today, living in the United States of America, calling themselves black.
Okay. Now, could you clarify what you mean by Coptic Egyptians? I know you mentioned the Coptic. Could you give us a clear, concise definition on the Coptic Egyptian?
Yes, well, in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, I have in the glossary the meaning of Coptic Egyptian. The word Coptic Egyptian means that an individual African is a direct descendant of the ancient Egyptians. So the Coptic Egyptian, the definition of a Coptic Egyptian meaning that he or she is a direct descendant of the ancient Egyptian. That's what the word Coptic means.
Okay. We got a caller with his hand raised at 708. Let me open up and see if he has something to say here. Here it goes, 708. You're on the air.
Hey, this is Keith again. May I talk to both of you? I just had another question for you, Doc. The reason I asked about this timeline was, what do you two comments or two questions, and then I'm going to hang up and listen. But as far as the timeline, what do you say to those that, because there's another movement out there that has people identifying themselves with the Native Americans. People are saying we're not African, we're Native Americans. And then when you start pushing for timeline, what contribution did the Native Americans make prior to the ancient Egyptians? Then you get the crickets, real quiet conversation. So I'd just like to know what you would say to someone that says we're not the Africans, we're Native Americans, we're the Indians, and secondly, the comment.
Hold on to that first. I'm going to answer that first question, then we're going to the second one. Hold on, Brother Keith.
Okay. Sure.
You're telling me that there are people in our African community that are saying that we are part, that he or she claiming to be part Indians, that we have the Indian blood in us. Is that what you're saying?
That not Indian blood, but not African. They're dismissing the African. I'm sorry.
So, but they're claiming since they don't have African blood, they got Indian blood in them. Is that correct or what?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So I've been hearing this all my life, that I'm part Indian. The reason why an individual bring up some part Indian in their existence is because they don't know who they are racially. They don't know anything about their ancestors being the ancient Egyptians. they cannot trace in their mind, in their life, in their experience in life, they cannot find any racial identity that they can claim other than the Indian. You see? So
I know.
He's saying that I am part Indian, okay? I asked that individual, if you're part Indian, if I cut you and your blood drops to the table or the floor, can you show me what part of your blood that's dropping from you is part Indian? Can't do that, okay?
No.
Secondly, I tell that individual that when the European male comes to lynch and hang you, he's not coming to lynch or hang the Indian in you. He's coming to hang the African in you. That's number 2. Number 3, I said, if you want to know who you are, go and look in the mirror. The mirror will tell you who you are. Okay? Number 4, like I said, they're claiming Indian identity because they don't have nothing else to claim to make themselves feel good and great. So now, Brother Tarhaka, Amani Obey, and myself, having this program, we're bringing forth to the African community who we are as a people, and we are claiming our greatness. We are teaching our people to claim our greatness and their greatness, to find their way back to ancient Egypt, because our greatness is lying in the continent of Africa, unclaimed in Egypt. See, so that would be my answer to you. They're trying to get something, Brother Key, that will make them feel good. Okay, and see, since this Negro and this black person has been degraded and humiliated and reduced down to nothing, an inferior being by the European structure. So he said, I got to be more than this. Like I said when they gave me the book called Little Black Sambo when I was 8 years old, I said to myself in my little child mind, I said, now we got to be better than this. It's something greater than a Little Black Sambo. See? So I went out on a quest after waking up 43 years ago, waking up to find out who we are. I didn't say a word, but who we are. See, so that would be my answer to you. Does that answer your question?
That does. And also, well, what puzzled me was the fact, the timeline. If the ancient Egyptians take us to 10,000 before the Common Era, and they were very instrumental in the advancements of us as beings on this planet, my question was always to them, well, what was the contribution of the Native American, where on a timeline basis that you can proceed the alphabet and the contributions that the Egyptians made. And so I just really been meaning to ask you that question, but this was a good forum for it, so other people can hear it as well.
Right.
And so lastly, after you made, I was trapped at my story entails looking for blackness and being introduced to it on the Christian side. So I went Hebrew Israelitism, and so I studied the Bible and all of that, and now I know what I know. And so, but when you talked about the eunuch, and that was some new information for me as well, being homosexual, and the Bible, another lie that it tells is that the eunuch is a individual that has been castrated because of their inability to reproduce. But so it was very enlightening to hear the side of the term for the ancient Egyptians' description of the eunuch was a person that suffered from a possible quirk in nature and made them desire the same sex, as opposed to a castrated male because of his lack of the ability to reproduce. So
well,
I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, you see, here's the thing about it. The European is trying to make our ancestors have the same nature that they have. Our ancestors would never castrate an individual. That's unhumane to do that.
You're barbaric.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So don't ever let nobody tell you that your ancestors were barbarics. Barbar. They practiced savagery and barbarism. Don't say that. Don't let them. Nobody tell you that. No. They understood nature. They were the highest civilized people on planet Earth.
On the planet, yes.
Right. If he was born like that, you leave him alone. You don't bother him. You love him. Okay? As many families, as I speak, have homosexuals in their family. You know?
Yep. Same here. I got a few floating around. So, what do you do with that?
Walk up to them?
Their family, and what do you do with that? And you really, and again, you were the first black, or you were the first male of color of African descent that I've ever heard, and I'm 60 years old, have ever heard the analogy that you give regarding homosexuality. You have a lot of things going on in nature that you can't control. People have 6 fingers, and you can't explain that, and 2 heads and things of that nature. So what do you do with them? Do you toss them out and humiliate them, or do you embrace them because they're part of humanity? It's just a humane thing to do. So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate your expression and your teaching on that as well. So I'm going to go, though. Thanks for answering my questions again. That was the second one we dealt with, with the eunuch.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah, we did. All right. So I'll be talking to you soon. We're relocating soon, Doc. We're going to Florida. We're going to Florida. Getting away from the cold weather.
My goodness, man, that's really hurt me. But we'll talk about it.
He'll be down here with us.
Yeah, I'm sure the listening audience don't want to hear that. So, Tallahassee, something close to Georgia. We were going to Georgia at first, but we decided on Tallahassee.
Okay.
All right.
Oh man. Okay, but anyway, we'll talk about it and.
Yes, sir.
Go from that point.
Thanks again. So, may I hope to you and Brother Tarhaka.
Okay, brother.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I
hope to you, my brother.
I'm glad you was able to help him with the answer to those questions. He says coming down here to Florida, Tallahassee, that's up in the Panhandle there, up there on the bottom coast. Nice, nice, quiet town.
Good. Okay, Tallahassee, Florida. Okay, sounds good.
Well, Dr. Williams, our relationship with other people on the planet, I think it's an opportunity for us to enlighten them to our identity. What you think about that?
Well, see, other people know who we are. They know who we are, but we don't know who we are. That's the problem. That's where you and I come in. They already know that. Look at your dollar bill. That pyramid on that. That's not put on there by accident. They know who we are. The whole world know who we are. That's the reason I tell people, do not use the word Kemet. misleading. Don't do that. The world knows our ancestors as being ancient Egyptians. Okay? And the pyramid, when you see the pyramid, they say Egypt. The Sphinx, Egypt. The alphabet, Egypt. Mathematics, Egypt. Domesticating the earth and animals, Egypt. You see, it goes all the way back. See, so they know who we are. We have to know who we are and tell the world who we are. If you don't do that, they're going to continue to treat us like Negroes, enslaved Africans that were enslaved, ancestors were enslaved in this country. See? So the time has come, Brother Tarhaka, that men like you and I and women like my wife, Sister Annetta, and Sister Emma McGowan, and others out here, Ezra Kwesi and James Small and Brother Booker T. Coleman and all that group, they have to bring forth this information so we can be, and we are in the forefront of this movement, of this revelation. Okay? So this is a reform movement, and it should be called the Return of the Ancient Egyptians. The Return of the Ancient Egyptians. We're returning back to it. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, and it's just a matter of time. So we're going to keep on doing what we're doing, and somebody's out there listening. And guess what, Doc? We are changing people's thought. We are causing people to evolve. We are stopping them from revolving, but we are enhancing their lives by giving them this information so they can evolve into something better than what's out here and what has been given to us as a people. So just keep on doing what we're doing. That's it.
Okay. Well, I have to agree because I know they have very there's no way for me to have access to all of the statistics of when we're doing these broadcasts, to know the exact amount of people that's listening to broadcasts, because they're using so many different devices to do so. Some of them are using computers, some of them are using other iPods and all kind of stuff. So I just look at the numbers that I can see, and these are the ones that I use. But I know there's much, much more, and it's going much, much further. More and more people are listening to this stuff. But what's important for me is for them to verify what we're discussing here and the things that we're saying. The verification, to me, is very important because we're not just putting this information out just to have something to do at the end of the month on a Sunday night.
Right.
This is very, very serious. We take our work seriously, and we will continue to tell the truth and put the truth out there so that people will get a hold of this information. Now, we mentioned what do you envision as an apparatus for educational purposes, or setting up some type of school? You that ever came across your mind?
Yeah. Well, see, first, before you can set up a school, you have to realize that you are a descendant of the ancient Egyptians. You got to have a national identity, a nationality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You have to have a foundation to build on. The foundation that you should be building on is the foundation that our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, created and for us and built for us.
Mm-hmm.
And they left us an immortal legacy to identify with that. So we have to first identify with our legacy that was left to us by our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. That's where you start. Then you can put your school system in place, okay, based off of that. But you got to have a base, to put in a school system to make up a curriculum. See? Now, there was a brother, he's dead now, his name was Asa Hilliard. Back in the 90s.
I remember Asa.
You remember Asa? Very brilliant man.
Yeah, him and Beth Middleton used to be on his show a lot.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, Asa was given the task by the educational system to create a different curriculum that would be geared to teach the African children and to teach the African student. He made a mistake by trying to, instead of sticking with one culture, one African culture, which is the ancient Egyptian culture that brought forth all civilization, all of humanity, he tried to take that curriculum and make a curriculum for all of Africa. You can't do that. You see? My answer to you is that you have to have a foundation before you can create a curriculum. You got to have something to stand on. You got to have a foundation before you can build on anything. Everything is built out here. It has a foundation holding it up. You don't see that foundation, but it's there. If it wasn't there, the building was built without a foundation would collapse. So you have to have a foundation in order for you to put more bricks on there, stack bricks up on them, wooden beams in there, iron beams. You got to have that foundation to hold all of that. So the same thing with curriculum. We have to have a foundation for the creation and the building of the curriculum to teach our children. But the foundation is ancient Egypt. That's what I have to say to that, Brother.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Brother Asa Hilliard, he, matter of fact, I got DVDs on him down in the, when he was doing the programs on Mr. Middleton's show. And he was talking about the Nile Valley civilization. He's done an excellent job on making sure that the world understand that the ancient Egyptians were of African descent. And,
right.
And I guess I don't know, I guess they had to, wanted to bring out more information, but I think there was enough information right there in Egypt. The last of lifetime.
Right down where you
That's just my personal opinion. I think he might have wanted to bring out other information about Africa, but I think he had enough right there in Egypt to last a lifetime to talk about.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's your foundation. That's where you have to start. That's where we have to find our way back to ancient Egypt and claim ancient Egypt. You've heard me say that many a time. Find our way back to ancient Egypt and claim it, because our greatness lying in the continent of Africa, in Africa called Egypt. It's lying there, waiting for us to claim it.
What do you think about our brothers and sisters that's in the high up in politics? What it's going to take to reach them, in your opinion?
Well, you see, you don't have to worry about them. It's the grassroots and the grassroots people that's going to make that difference. And once the grassroots begin to grow, the people at the top will have to come in line or get the hell out of the way. So you don't worry about them. The people have to unify themselves to tell the people at the top, their politicians, what they want them to do. And if they don't do it, you vote them out of office. So it starts at the grassroots. That's the reason why you saw that movement after that young man shot up that school in Texas. Those young people got out in the street, okay? And they told those politicians at the top, that we know who you are. We know that you have taken money for the NRA, National Rifle Association, and we're coming to get you. We're going to vote your ass out. Told them that. See? So those politicians at the top, they'll fall in line once they understand that we, people in the secular community, have the power of our vote to get rid of them. So we don't worry about that.
Okay. Well, you said it all. Well, we are winding down now. And what other information you think is vital for us to get out here in regards to part 2, who are the descendants of the ancient African Egyptians? If it's something that we missed, that you want to elaborate on at this point?
Well, I think we covered a wide swath of information that is needed out here at this time. We don't want to overwhelm the listening audience, but we want to give information where they can use this information to liberate themselves. And the information that we've given them is the information that will enable them to liberate themselves, if they want to liberate themselves. So if they want further information, they can either call you or they can email me. And then using my email, they can contact me and they can put their phone number there if they want to have a further conversation with me, and I'll get back to them. My email address is ancientegyptian @msn.com. Ancient, ANCIENT. Egyptian, EGYPTIAN @msn.com. Put your phone number there, and I'll get back to you, and we can further have a conversation, and I can answer, hopefully, your questions. So that's how they can contact me to further their knowledge and understanding and the liberation of themselves, and to evolve by way of knowledge. So also, my 2 books are out there, The Historical Origin of Christianity. It's been out for 25 years. The thesis of that book is saying that there has never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. My second book, The Historical Origin of Islam, has been out for 15 years. And the thesis of that book is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of Islamic tradition. Never existed. So those are my 2 books. And also, they can listen to our past programs that you had invited me on as your guest. Is that correct, Tarhaka?
That's right. They can also go to, for the past few shows that we've done in a row, they can go to my website at newdeadelimination.com. Look right up top. You'll see past shows by Tarhaka, and there's a widget there, and they can go straight down the line. You can go to YouTube and just type in Tarhaka and Dr. Walter Williams, and a complete listing of all our previous shows will come up, and they can take their pick, and because we've done quite a few of them, so there's a complete battery of shows right there on YouTube that they can go and listen to. right there of all the work that we put in on this stuff. We can go back and deal with our thoughts on Christianity, our information on Islam, Muhammad, all of it, relationship between the brothers and the sisters. We've covered a lot and put out a lot of information, and it's readily available. So that's all they have to do. You just type your name into Google, or type my name into Google, or type both together into Google, and a ton of information will come up. It's there. It's already readily available to anybody that want to look at it and go over the information. The article's there. That one article you wrote about what it was from Pharaoh to Negro. Yeah. You want to give them some rundown information on that so that they can go back and read that article. Let them know how they can get that. Give them some information about that. When did you write that?
I wrote that in the 1991 for a newspaper in Chicago, a local newspaper. And I wrote that article called From Pharaoh to Negro, how we went from the Pharaoh down to a Negro. So today, as I speak, we need to go from the Negro back to the Pharaoh, back to ancient Egypt. And that's what you and I have been talking about over the 3 years, I think, that you have had me on to do these shows with you the last Sunday of every month. So, and then we have to know that we came from the pyramids to the projects. You see? So we have to find our way back to ancient Egypt. It's very important that we do that. If we don't do that, you're going to miss the boat. If we don't teach our children that they are descendants of the greatest people that's ever walked this earth, known in history as the ancient Egyptians, then you're doing them a disservice, because they need to know this so they can walk around being proud of who they are. Not to use that knowledge to criticize other people or other races. Not to use that knowledge to flaunt in the faces of other races, but to use that knowledge to know who they are. And once you know who you are, nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can define you anymore. Okay? You define your own self, because you have found your way back to ancient Egypt, and that's where we belong. On the dollar bill, like I mentioned before, every dollar that you have in your pocket has a pyramid on it. At the very top of that pyramid is a round orange ball that signifies the position that we as an African people, that's our position on that pyramid. Okay? And we have to claim that in order to find our way back to ancient Egypt and claim our greatness. So our greatness is there in the continent of Africa, in Egypt. So claim it. And that's what we're all about, Brother Tarhaka.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Dr. Williams, I had looked at some of your other broadcasts and videos that you've done. You've done a segment about European aggression and racism in the world, and I think you did about, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was about 3 or 4 videos on that.
Okay.
Do you remember those videos?
No, I don't, Brother Tarhaka, because like I said, I've been out here for 43 years, and I've produced a lot of videos and on different subjects and things like that. And, so I can't recall that. I'm not saying that it's not there, but I don't recall it at this very moment. I've had to go.
Well, that may not be the title, but I know you did one and it was you were on stage with another guy, and he was talking about nationality and American us as people not being Americans. You remember that?
Sure.
Called that?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about. I did a video, a TV interview. I was on TV that time. That was back in 1997, I believe, 1997, in Chicago, Illinois. It was on TV for an interview for an hour with a guy named Bob Rose. The title of our topic was, "Are we Africans born in the United States of America, citizens of the United States of America due to the Constitution that was drawn up in 1787?" So that was a debate. He and I debated that. Yes, I recall that one. Yeah. I recall that. Yeah, I got that. I got that tape.
Now, what was his position? Now, his position was that the Constitution made us citizens, or something to that effect.
Well, here's what happened.
Yeah,
this is. Let me tell you what happened before we got to the studio. I was invited on a TV radio show to be interviewed. It was me, my wife, and one of my students. And this guy, Bob Rose, that you're talking about, had a debate with me on the video that you're talking about. He was on there. I never met him. Never saw him in my life. But somehow I felt that he didn't like me because I was talking about Christianity, about no Jesus Christ. So he was going to get me on camera and try to show me up. And he asked me a question, and I answered the question. Okay? And then I asked him a question that he couldn't answer. And he started stuttering with the camera rolling on him. And his ego was hurt. And I didn't know all of this. But about 2 or 3 months later, he got his own program. He was a co-host on this particular program. So he got his own program. So he calls me up and said, "Hey, Dr. Williams, I want to interview you on my program." I said, "Okay. What do you want to talk about?" I said, "Well, let's talk about why we're not citizens of the United States of America due to the Constitution drawn up in 1787. He said, "Okay." Now, me not knowing that he was mad at me for asking him that question that he couldn't answer with the camera on him. And after he couldn't answer that question, the camera on, he's studying and fumbling camera. He got off of me and started acting nice towards me on that same program. But his ego was hurt. I didn't know that. So he said, "Well, that's a good topic. Let's you and I get together and we talk about it." So I'm thinking about he's a brother. He's going to ally with me in bringing out fact and the truth that we're not citizens of this country due to the Constitution drawn up in 1787. You know, so he met with me and he picked my brain, took notes, and when I got to the studio, long story short, sit down, the camera's rolling, and he asked me a question, I answered it. And then he said, "Oh, well, I don't agree with that." When he said that, I knew that he had set me up. See? When he said, asked me that question, and I answered the question, and he said, "I don't agree with that." Right.
Ego.
And so we were cordial, and we went on and did our video. Something happened in the background there, Brother Tarhaka. You hear the echo?
No, not really.
Okay, Okay, there's an echo back there. But anyway, so that's after the show was out. I cursed him out, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I cursed him out, and we went on and parted our ways, and that's as a result of that video. That's what you saw. Yes, I remember that. I have copies of that.
Okay. Well, you was right. No matter which way he was coming about it, what he didn't agree with. Because, see, one thing I know about truth is truth. It doesn't matter how you feel about truth. Your feelings don't have nothing to do with truth being true. You can feel any kind of way you want to feel. Truth is going to be there.
That's right.
I learned that a long time ago. A lot of times people will, they don't know, and at the same time, they don't want to know. They're not going to allow you to separate them from what they believe, even though they have no facts, and you presenting them with all of the facts. They don't know the truth, and they don't want to know the truth. And that is really, really sad for an individual to call themselves specializing in truth, but will go out of their way to keep from hearing the truth because of the position in life that they done set themselves up in. And they want to be comfortable in this nice plush lie, but when the truth comes, it makes them uncomfortable. And instead of embracing the truth and making changes, they would rather attack the truth teller, attack the messenger, if you can. Try to discredit him, if anything, to get him to shut up about this information. We're looking at the facts. We know he got the facts, and we can't do nothing with the facts and stuff, but I'm not going to believe none of it. I'm going to stay the way I am, and, that's just it. That's really, really sad. To me, that is a very narrow-minded individual that does something like that.
That's correct.
And you'll find it's very, very difficult to hold a conversation with a religious person without them bringing religion in it. I don't care if you're talking about real estate. You go, well, if it's the Lord with it, then, well, hold on. We and it is amazing. And some of them are not even approachable, because I tried to talk to a man about finance. He said, well, if it ain't got nothing to do with Jesus, it ain't going to work. I said, well, wait a minute. I ain't even...
Oh,
wow. That's a narrow-minded individual. Religion, in my opinion, I think religion shuts off parts of the brain. I mean, you have to be open-minded, and I think that prohibits an individual from being open-minded, because for one thing, it involves thinking, and of course, religion, you don't have to think. All you just do is believe.
Correct.
So,
see, religion steals the individual human being's humanity, steals it away from them. See? And puts in place something as a guideline for that individual who believes and practices religion to follow. He's not following his mind. He's thinking out of his mind. He's out of the box. So therefore, these religions keeps him out of the box, keeps him from not thinking, just believing in something that he knows nothing about. Okay? And then, like you was mentioning about an individual who don't want to hear the facts or the truth, that individual wakes up every morning asleep. He's still asleep, but he's awoke. He walks around and he talks and he greets people who go to work, do everything, but he's still asleep. He hasn't woke up yet. Okay? Until, like that woman Josephine Hughes in Lufkin, Texas. She woke up. She said she had been preaching for 40-something years, this lie, until one day she found some information that I had put out there by way of a video. She found some information that Ashwa Kwesi had put out there as a video, and she woke up. She woke up. Same thing with this guy in North Carolina. Just about 3 weeks ago, he called me. I was telling you about this guy. He said he'd been preaching for 25 years. He said that he sometimes he preaches 4 and 5 sermons on a Sunday at different churches. Until that voice woke him up. Said, "It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie." And woke him up. And he couldn't get that voice away from him. And he heard a tape, videotape by Ashwa Kwesi and a videotape by me, Walter Williams. And he said, we woke him up. So he woke up after 25 years of being asleep. 25 years he was asleep, probably longer than that. When he was born, the disease of this religion called Christianity was passed on to him in his early child innocent age by his mother and father. You see? So people today, as I speak, are waking up. Waking up. And we, you, Brother Tarhaka Bay, me, Walter Williams, are in the forefront of their awakening. And that makes me feel good. And I want to say to you personally how much I appreciate you, Brother Tarhaka. And how much I love you.
We appreciate you as well.
Yeah, thank you, man. And you've given me the opportunity. I appreciate that. And I respect you and for giving me this opportunity to bring a message once a month, the last Sunday of every month, to our people, to help them evolve out of this condition that they're in. See, so if it wasn't for you and people like you, our community would not have heard my message or your message. So I want to thank you for creating this avenue for us and for me to be on, so I can spread this information to wake up our people. And that's what it's all about. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You know, you mentioned Brother Ashwa Kwesi several times. I remember looking at him on video on the great debate about religion. He had a pastor that was going to come on stage and challenge Dr. Ashwa Kwesi. And Dr. Kwesi has a PowerPoint presentation where he's just laying out the facts about where he stole all the religions for. And this man had the nerve to try to debate with him, which it was, in my opinion, there was absolutely no debate, because the pastor didn't bring out any facts about anything. But after it was all over with, we did find out that the pastor came to him and he told him, he said, "Man, you know, I got to come on over to your side, because based on what you showed me."
Right. But you know what, I saw that tape.
You saw?
In fact, I have it. I have that tape somewhere in my library. And I saw that tape. Ashwa Kwesi did an excellent job on that. He disarmed that minister. He disarmed him.
No doubt about it. The boy come out, and I forgot what the pastor's name was.
Yeah,
but,
right. Me too.
That was, in my opinion, I think the worst whooping he ever got.
Right.
Yeah, he sure learned something that day.
That's right.
They showed him the temple walls and where they stole the religion, and they put it together to show where Jesus Christ came from, and the baby in the manger, and Oh man, a whole ball of wax right off the carvings of the wall, straight out of Egypt.
Correct.
Ten
Absolutely.
Commandments and everything, and he was boy. When it come time for the pastor to get back up in speech, by then he was done. He couldn't. It wasn't nothing he could do with that man, because that boy.
No, nothing you can do with it.
No, facts are facts. Well, you got facts,
Facts
but
are
see
facts.
that's the thing though. You still have people who they don't want to know the facts. They're scared that, well, if I give up Jesus, then I ain't gonna have nothing. Well, what I'm gonna do then? But believe in me, I can't be going around doing nothing that stuff. I ain't got no faith in me. It's amazing, man.
Right.
It is amazing.
Right. Yeah,
and all it takes is for you to research and study.
That's all. That's all. Because the information is out there to help you to evolve out of this ignorance. The information out there. We're giving this information, you and I, on this show, for the years that you've had me on. The information is out there. All you have to do, like you tell them, to type in Tarhaka and Dr. Walter Williams, and a whole slew of stuff will come up on YouTube. Whole slew of stuff.
You still got a lot of them out there that they scared to look at it.
Well, that's on them. They don't want to. They're scared to wake up. Fine, there's no problem. Just don't come around me with your ignorance. Okay? And I don't want to be bothered with it. If you can't and don't want to have the desire to wake up, then there's nothing I can do for you. I just have to let you sleep. Okay? But you can't say that we didn't try to help you. Because the information we put out there will help you liberate yourself. All you got to do is have the desire to want to do that. Okay? But you're not gonna bring us no BS.
No.
Because we know BS when we see it. When it walks in the room, when it dial this number and press 1 on their phone, we know when the BS is coming our way. Okay, we know that.
Exactly.
So they can't bring no BS to us because we're not going to allow them to do that. You see? So
cut that off.
Hey, so your program is very, very, very important, very vital to our African community. If they want to grow, listen to some of our programs that we've done over the. How long have I been on here with you, Brother Tarhaka? Well, on 3 years.
We've been doing this for the past about 3 years now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
About
Absolutely.
3 years. I think in the end of this year, we're over 3 years we've been putting this information in it. And the most important part about it is the information that we're putting out is there available every day for anybody to go back and look at it. It's not like we're doing a show and it's going away. No. I make sure that the show is available and it's in a place where you can get it for as long as we have the internet. It's available.
Correct. And another thing, Brother Tarhaka, we must be telling the truth because we have never had nobody come on the show to challenge us on what information we have put out here.
Well, we waiting on them. All they have to do is come in, and I tell them now, if you're coming in, because we ain't here to argue the facts. There's no argument. If you got something to say and you right and we wrong, just bring your evidence so that we can verify what you're saying.
Right.
I think that's fair. I mean, because we're here with our evidence and we're verifying what we're saying. So I think if we did it like that, even exchange, we don't want to end up like the pastor over there messing with Ashwa Quaser. We don't want nobody to end up like that. So if you got because I've looked in the chat room and I've seen this one little guy. He come on, I don't know who he is, but he's always complaining and he's wrong about that. And I said, bring the book that you wrote. Either call into the broadcast and make sure that when you call in, you got your facts so that we can verify them. You talk all kinds of stuff in the chat room, but you never call in. No. I just want to complain. That's all I want to do.
He wants to throw a rock and hide his hand.
Yeah, and they'll do the same thing on certain videos. They'll see the videos. I look down in the comment section and make comments. But we're on with the phone lines available if somebody have a question. If you have a comment, all they have to do is press 1 on the phone. We ain't hiding. We right here. And you just come on out of the closet. And whatever it is that you got, just make sure you got your facts with you. I don't hear nothing about what you believe. And you ain't got no evidence or no facts to back it up. We ain't, and talking loud and preaching. We want no prayer. We won't need none of that. We just need the facts. That's all we need.
That's right.
No begging or pleading. None.
That's right. We don't want all that.
We're down to the last few minutes in closing. So if you want to give us your final statements, we're right here to have them recorded. We can put them in the conversion process and make sure that this video is up and available for the whole world tomorrow. All over the United States and other countries, they have access to being able to go back and, if they missed the broadcast, and look at it any time of day they want to do that.
Okay. Well, I want to tell the listening audience that I have a $5,000 award to give to anybody of any race, creed, or color, including the Pope. If you can prove, by way of facts, that a character by the name of Jesus Christ walked this earth as a human being. Don't tell me what the Bible said, about what you think, about what you believe. I want you to bring me facts which are stronger than argument, more profound than reasoning, more dependable than opinions, silences dispute, supersedes predictions, and facts always in the argument, unless you're talking to someone who does not want to know the facts. So my $5,000 award has been out there over 25 years, and it's still drawing interest in the bank. No one has claimed it. So that's my challenge to anybody of any race, creed, or color, including the Pope. Bring me the facts of what you think are the facts that will sustain your belief in a character by the name of Jesus Christ walking this earth. The same goes for the Prophet Muhammad of the Islamic tradition. I will give you a $5,000 award if you can bring me the facts, not belief, that sustains that a character by the name of Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, walked this earth as a human being. Now, if you can't do that, then if you know someone that can do that, I will give you a $2,000 finder's fee for finding that person that can challenge me on my challenge about the $5,000. Now you have to write this up now on paper. You can't come with no verbal thing. Write up on the paper with facts how, when, and where the character known as Jesus Christ and the Prophet Muhammad and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that goes for those characters too, walk the earth as human beings, Moses and so forth and so on. See? So if you can bring me facts, and bring me proof by way of facts that these characters walk the earth, then I will give you gladly and say to you, I was wrong. I will get on this program that I'm on now and tell the whole world that I was wrong, that there is a Jesus Christ. There is a Prophet Muhammad. There is Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Solomon, Isaac, and Jacob, and so forth and so on. But no one can do that because you're dealing with non-human biblical characters, non-human religious characters. That's all you're dealing with. And those characters are sustained by one's belief. Your spirituality keeps those lives alive because you believe. You put all your heart and your spirituality and your soul into this belief that these characters walk the earth because that's how you've been trained to think that. So, with that being said, Brother Tarhaka, that is part of my last words. And again, if an individual wants to contact me, you can contact me by email, by emailing me at ancientegyptian@msn.com. ancientegyptian@msn.com. Put your phone number there, and I will get back to you, and we can hold a further conversation by way of you doing that. And if you want to buy my books, you can go to Amazon. Order my books through Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, or any local African bookstore in your community. Or you can contact my bookseller, Brother Yoel, in Chicago, who is the owner of the Underground Bookstore in Chicago. His phone number is 773-768-8869. 773-768-8869. Brother Yoel, the Underground Bookstore in Chicago, and he will send you out after you order my two books. And he's also a good contact for out-of-print books or rare books. So give Brother Yoel a call at the Underground Bookstore. And that is my last message that I want to leave with our listening audience this evening. I want to let you know that I love you. I respect you. And I am glad that you're listening to this program. And for the ones that are not listening and will listen in the future, I want to say to you, keep on listening, learning, and evolving until you wake up. Your eyes will wake up. Even though you wake up every day, your eyes are open, but a lot of people are still asleep. So that's what I want to leave with the listening audience this evening, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay, well, Dr. Williams, once again, you've done an excellent job, and we certainly appreciate you being on here on this Sunday, May the 27th, 2018. And we look forward to having you on the last Sunday of next month, which will be June. And
correct.
Thank you so much, and appreciate you, my brother. And I'm going to bring this thing to a close and go in there and get me some rest.
Okay. Well, I'm going in there and get me some
forward.
eat.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to do some of that, too, before I rest. But I certainly appreciate it, man. And I look forward to I'll be calling you, probably give you a shout tomorrow.
Okay.
And we'll talk.
Okay. I got a real good.
Brother.
Okay. And I'll be looking out for your call, Brother Tarhaka. And again, thanks so much. And Mayat Hotep.
Mayat Hotep. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Dr. Walter Williams, our illustrious guest, author of The Historical Origins of Christianity and author of The Historical Origins of Islam. And I certainly appreciate him being on the broadcast. And we're going to go ahead and go into closing. And until next time, I've been your host, Tarhaka Black Awareness. And until next time, y'all have a good evening. Okay? Peace.